Sup YouTube? This is gonna be a Slakoth sweep. So, just a little bit of background before I even start this thing. Slakoth is a little monkey, and it has an ability called Truant. And Truant actually stops it from attacking every single consecutive turn. So, this was a little bit of a dilemma, and I've overcome it by using a few strategies. So, I hope you enjoy it and you get something out of it. Alright, so he's going to start things off with the Swampert, typical lead, and I start things off with my high 20. So he's got 20 fingers, and I just gave him the mummy ability, so he's all wrapped up in bandages and stuff. So I switch my mummy out, and I go into my Umbreon. My Umbreon takes a Ice Punch very nicely, and I lock him into mean look there. So bearing in mind now he can no longer escape, so I've got a bat and pass on that as well, and I go into my Gorobis. He's obviously not going to be able to do anything to me whatsoever because I'm setting up some Iron Defenses now. Iron Defense actually raises your defense by +2 each consecutive time you use it. So I go for the second Iron Defense there, and so basically what I've done is I've trapped this Swampert in with the mummy ability. So this, you actually see what happens later on in the cycle. So he cannot actually switch out because of the mean look, and he appears to not have Roar. So if he had Roar, I'd fire all the lasers in the world, but he doesn't have Roar, so that's cool. So I set up the Aqua Ring and I pass that off, and I'm going to go into my Smeargle just to do a little bit of ingraining. So I've got my defense up right on my Smeargle there, so he's not going to take really any damage at all. So I set up my my roots, and Waterfall really isn't doing anything whatsoever to my Smeargle. So after this, I'm going to put him asleep after I set my rocks up. Rocks are always important, just in case there's a Focus Sash or any of that kind of bullshit on the field. And Swampert really cannot do a lot to me here, so I've put him asleep, and hopefully he'll stay asleep for a few turns, but it doesn't really matter because I've pretty much got him here because he's none of his moves are really going to hurt me at all. So I go into my Gliscor, knowing Waterfall was super effective, but I've got all my defense +6. I've also got holding a Toxic Orb, and Gliscor actually has a Poison Heal in 5th gen, so that's another bonus there for recovery. So I'm going to set up a few agilities here. Slakoth will need a few agilities because he isn't the speediest Pokemon there is. So I get my second agility up. He's going to go for the Waterfall, of course, but I'm so bogged out in defense that's really not even going to break my sub. It may take a few to actually break my sub there. So the second Waterfall hits, and it does break my substitute finally. So I knock down another substitute. So obviously that's not going to break it. So it's taking about 3 or 4 hits to kill it. So I've got all the healing up abilities there. So I'm going to go for the Swords Dance now. I need some attack on my Slakoth. I probably won't be able to. I do not actually want to kill this Swampert in one hit because, as you see, I do want to get the mummy ability. So I do want that ability. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to swap the Truant ability with the mummy ability, so I can actually keep attacking consecutively. So that's my plan, all set up right from the start. Okay, so let's go my Slakoth.